Hi everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing about sailing solo on Disney Cruise Line. It's something I had wanted to do for years. A ton of y'all asked for this video just to kind of hear what it was like. Was it awkward? I did have a few fears going into the cruise, so I'm going to let you know what it was like and if I would do it again, and I'm really glad that you're here. Okay, so I finally did it. I finally sailed solo on Disney Cruise Line. I have traveled by myself a lot. I actually really love traveling by myself, and cruising by myself is something that I always kind of dreamed about but had not pulled the trigger on because it is very expensive to cruise by yourself. There are a few cruise lines that will offer a single supplement where you get a discount. By and large, it is just cost prohibitive, at least for me, to sail as a single traveler because you're paying the same price as if two people were in the room, okay? And I've always felt that that was a little ridiculous because obviously I'm not eating the same amount as two people and all of those kinds of things, but that is just the way that they do it. So Disney, for obvious reasons, came out with some amazing discounts. And I chatted with my travel agent, Kim. By the way, if you want her information, I will put it down in the description box. I always recommend working with a Disney travel agent, especially when you're doing cruising. And we discussed it, and it was such a great deal that I felt like it was the time to do it. If prices were how they used to be or how they will be, like for instance on the Disney Wish, sailing by myself is just not something I could justify. Having said that, I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I'm going to tell you why at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around all the way to the end. So when I was planning my Disney cruise, I did feel a few people in my life kind of look at me with that, sideward head tilt thing, like, really? Like that puppy look? You're going to sail by yourself on a family cruise ship. And what's funny is one of my hesitations about sailing solo was the whole weirdness about like not wanting anyone to think I was looking for love. I was not looking for the love boat. And believe it or not, that is still a thing that happens even at 51 years old. And obviously I wear a wedding ring, but people are weird. And I kind of felt like on Disney, I would not have to deal with that. The other thing that I was really looking forward to is, of course, I love Disney, but the people that I usually travel with for a cruise, my husband and my boys, aren't always as into things like the shows and the live entertainment. And that's true at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and really anywhere that we are on vacation. So I knew that sailing by myself, I would have the opportunity to enjoy some of those things. But I did have fears. I think my biggest fears were all around just feeling odd. Feeling odd maybe because I would be sitting alone in the dining room. Due to COVID protocols, they aren't putting anybody at a table with anyone else. Whereas in the before time, I might have been seated with either other solo travelers or with families or whatever. For this cruise, I was going to be sitting completely alone. So I was a little nervous about that. And then one of the things that I love the most about Disney Cruise Line is their adult only areas. And I thought, okay, am I going to have kind of the nerve to go into Pink or City Line or any of the bars and just kind of enjoy a drink by myself? Well, I needn't have worried. None of those things became an issue. The servers who knew I was sailing alone, which by the way, I was not the only solo traveler. I know for a fact there were at least 3 women that were sailing alone, and that was just the ones that I saw. So it does happen. People do sail on Disney Cruise Line by themselves. And they just took it in their stride. They were so welcoming and so gracious and actually would chat with me for a while. I got to know them. They got to know me. And, because I wasn't with anybody else, it became this really fun communal experience. I think that they enjoyed waiting on me. I mean, I'm sure they make everyone feel that way, but it did seem as though we got to know each other even a little more than we would have had I been with Scott. Although I always get to know my servers on Disney Cruise Line. So, take that for what it is. But I would say that although it was very different, I had kind of gone into it thinking, okay, I'm going to dine in the dining room the first night. And if I feel just super weird, I'm not going to do it again. But I didn't feel weird. I didn't feel like anybody was staring. I didn't feel like anybody was feeling sorry for me. And kind of an interesting thing happened throughout the cruise. When I first got on the cruise and I would chat with people and say that I was sailing alone, I did a couple of times sense a little bit of like they kind of felt sorry for me that I was by myself. But as the trip went on and people had been with their family or friends for an extended period of time in small quarters, I got something from people that was maybe more akin to jealousy that I was sailing by myself. I had a great conversation in the ocean at Castaway Cay with two women that were sailing with family. And the more I told them about the experience of having that whole cabin to myself, that big, beautiful bed to myself, the veranda to myself, the more I kind of saw in their eyes, I wonder if I can pull this off and make this happen. So the things that I feared were not an issue. I even, yes, went to the bars by myself. There was always plenty of people to chat with. I even went up to, I think it's called the Meridian Lounge. That is the bar that's outside of Palo. It is my favorite bar on the Disney Dream. It's at the very top of the ship. It's just gorgeous up there. In fact, I'll insert a picture I took of a very well hidden Mickey that I don't think even Disney could have done this, but that was kind of crazy. But the views from up there are just amazing. And I ordered a Negroni, which is one of my favorite kind of grown-up drinks. And I enjoyed just being by myself. So I think if you're someone that likes to travel solo anyway, doing a Disney cruise solo will be amazing. And you don't have any of the fears that I would have when I would travel solo, say to Paris or to London or other destinations, because you really are in a safe environment. Now, this does not mean that you check your brains at the door. You're still going to want to be cautious. I still would kind of look up and down the hallway when I would go to get in my cabin. I was still a cautious female solo traveler, just like I always am. But I will say my guard was let down a little because we were on the Disney Cruise Line, and I know that their safety protocols, not just in regards to COVID, right, but in regards to everything, are very, very high. So I felt secure. I felt well taken care of. I felt very much like a princess in a way, like in all the best ways, right? If I could explain to you what it felt like to spend an entire day when we had our day at sea. Okay, I need to back up a little bit. The entire trip I had been like joining groups. Like I even went to we did a thing where we drew Pluto. And of course I went to the shows every night, and I went to the bars before dinner, and I ate in the dining room. So I'd been around people a lot. On Castaway Cay, I chatted with people, and I met people in the ocean. And so definitely I was joining in the communal spirit, which is true of any cruise, right? If you've never been on a cruise before, it's just kind of something that happens. And a side note on that, I was concerned that with the mask situation, that wouldn't be the case. I needn't have been. It totally was pretty much like it's always been in regards to chatting and getting to know people and all of that. Even met someone that I have plans to get together with socially here in town. She lives not that far from me. So all of those things were as magical and wonderful as travel ever is, right? One of the reasons I travel is because I get to chat with so many amazing people. So you think you're traveling solo, you're not going to meet people, or you're not going to have conversations. Nothing could be further from the truth. I would say I actually have more conversations when I travel by myself than I do when I'm traveling with family or with Scott, because it's just kind of, there's more opportunities for conversations to arise. I got to chat with some of the crew members, some of the cast from some of the shows, like just amazingly rich and fun conversations, some of which I'll remember my entire life, and all of which is part of the beauty of traveling solo. Okay, so all of those things still happen. However, on our day at sea, the ship itself was feeling a little more crowded than it had up until that point. And I was just kind of feeling like I wanted to more be in my cabin. So I ended up getting out my book, setting myself up on the couch with the veranda door open. I know you're not supposed to do that because of energy efficiency. Sorry, planet, and sorry, Disney. And ordering room service. And I pretty much stayed in the cabin for almost the whole day. I did come out to go to the show. I did come out to go to the dining room for dinner, but I had the best time. And I stopped and I thought, when was the last time I really had an entire day with an incredible view to just sit and read a book? And the answer, I think, was sometime around 1994 was the last time I had read an entire book in one day. And so it definitely had this sort of retreat. I don't even know how to describe it, you guys. It was such a magical experience, and one that not only would I do again, but I'm already kind of going in my brain trying to figure out how I could make it happen. Other things that might have been awkward that the cast members made entirely not awkward were like when I got on the ship. And I'm going to replay that clip right here, even though I've already used it, just in case you didn't get to see it.
It's so fun! Thank you! Well, I'm by myself. Jen. Let's just go with Jen. Yeah. Thank you.
Please welcome aboard Jen.
Do you notice how she said, can I have your family name? And I'm like, well, I'm sailing by myself. And then she said, well, can I just have your first name? And she didn't even skip a beat. And at no point during this cruise was anyone like, oh, you're traveling by yourself. I mean, it just didn't happen. And it made me feel like I was supposed to be there. And I guess really at the end of the day, my fear was that I would feel like I was somewhere that I didn't belong, which doesn't make any sense really with my love of Disney, with being a Disney Vacation Club member, with having a channel that's focused on Disney. Of course I belonged, but when you're in a place that's predominantly for families or couples, you can tend to feel like maybe you're just not supposed to be there. But I can tell you without hesitation, there was never a moment on my wonderful 4-night cruise on the Disney Dream when I felt like I didn't belong. So what I want you to do is if you have any questions about what it's like to sail solo, please put those down in the comments below. I'm really good about responding to comments right when the video goes up. Sometimes though, if it's several days later, I may not see it, but if you respond, if you're watching it pretty much right when I put it up, I'll be sure to see it. I'll try to answer as many of those questions as I can. And if financially it's feasible for you, I would 150% recommend a solo Disney cruise. You will not regret it. It is a fabulous experience. And if you just lean into it, bolster your confidence, get out there and have a fabulous time, I think it is well worth every penny that I spent on my wonderful cruise. I hope you liked today's video. Please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you like this kind of content, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and also to my lifestyle channel, which is Joyful Living with Jen Lefforge. I can't wait to see you next time. Take care of yourself, and whatever you're doing, I hope you're being really good to each other. Bye.